Okay, there are a couple different issues with Batman Arkham VR. The first one is that you need to change to the legacy reprojection method. Um, that can be done here. So you just want to right click on Steam VR, go to settings, and then you'll probably be on the general tab by default. We're going to be changing video settings, so we want to go to the video settings tab. We don't want to mess with the global video settings because that doesn't actually change anything with Cloud XR with PlutoSphere. So you want to go to the video tab, and then we want to go to the per applications video setting. Then we want to find Batman Arkham VR on the list. One of the options here will be use legacy reprojection mode. Um, it looked like the game would be playable with or without it, so you'll need to test to see if the game plays better with or without it. Um, it does give you a message to turn it on if it's not on. They use a different term for it. I forget what term the game uses, but it's the term does use reprojection. I just don't think they call it legacy reprojection. They call it something else. Uh, but once I enabled that, that message went away. So your mileage may vary, so feel free to try it on and off and see what you like better. The other issue is the controller bindings are kind of busted by default. When you first enter the game, it will look like you have old school HTC Vive controllers. Probably because that was just what the game was designed to run on when it was released, and they didn't really envision this vast landscape of VR hardware that we currently have. I think it's possible if you launch the Oculus specific version of it from the Oculus launcher, it might default to Rift controls. I'm not sure. At least Rift models. But anyway, this version does launch with Vive models. I don't know if there's any way you can change that, but I don't think it matters because once you get in the game, you'll actually just have hands for models. You'll just see Bruce Wayne's hands or whatever, or Batman's hands. I haven't played the game that much, so I don't know if there are other times in the game where it will show you controllers. It's a little confusing to see a Vive controllers when that's not what you're using. But the most important issue is that the controller bindings just don't seem to be present at all, and I assume this is just because we're running through Cloud XR and it doesn't properly detect the controller we're using. So to fix that issue, we're also going to be here in settings. Instead, we're going to go to controllers. And it's important here that you enable advanced settings. If you don't enable advanced settings, you won't see this option show old bindings UI. I believe this is a little bit of an older game, so using the old UI should be fine. I also saw some people online that said this worked, and it worked for me, at least to some extent. So it might be something you have to experiment with. But after you enable advanced settings and click Show Old Bindings UI, what you'll actually probably end up with is this list that'll show you various applications that you can adjust the binding for. By default, Batman wasn't on that list, so I had to click Show More Applications, and when you do that, you should see anything you have installed. I don't have too much installed right now, but you click on Batman, and what it's going to do is it's going to show you a bunch of, well, I'm getting some bad artifacting here. It's going to show you a bunch of community controller profiles. I have not tested all of these. I do not know which one is the best. The one I actually tested is this one called Shared Binding from Kane. It looks like there's at least a couple of those might be duplicates. I'm not sure. No, they look to be different. So you might need to just try a few of these. I can't say which of the two of these I tried. I didn't realize there were two at the time. But either way, you can test these various bindings by just hitting activate, and you'll see that it becomes your default binding. You'll also see that it thinks the controller is an Oculus Touch. You can try other controllers. I would assume the Touch is going to be the closest to the Quest controller, at least in terms of the amount of buttons, which I think is the main thing that matters here. Basic button functionality. It does not cause the game to change the in-game model. It will still show you the Vive controllers during the startup portion of the game, but like I said, once you get into the game, at least during the beginning part of the game where you're in kind of Batman's, I don't know, his lounge or his foyer or whatever you want to call it, standing in front of a piano and Alfred comes up and talks to you, That part was just kind of Bruce Wayne's bloody hands. So uh, it seemed to work from there. There may be some issues after that. I was not able to consistently figure out how to teleport around the room. It might be a problem with this binding. There may be another one of these that will be better. I can't say. You should definitely experiment and let us know in the Discord forums or Discord channels what you have found. But that should at least get you into the game and be able to play it. So the binding stuff plus the reprojection stuff should get you further into the game. From that point, we can troubleshoot what comes next. But for now, I will leave that to you. All right, cool. Bye.